Olivier, nice to meet you.
John.
Very good, nice to meet you.
Bonjour et bienvenue au Club de commerce international. Avez-vous des instructions en français ou en English?
English is good. Thank you.
So each team has 24 minutes to present its case to the judges. The time is indicated on the timer as a countdown. In case of a problem, I will indicate the remaining time with posters. The first 12 minutes are protected. The judge cannot interfere during that period. The next 10 minutes are not protected. The beginning of this period will be announced with this bell. When the non-protected period will end, I will ring the bell again. The judges have the possibility to interrupt the presentation during this period, to ask clarification questions about the subject addressed at that moment. The judge has 15 seconds to ask his questions, and the judges can only ask one question per slide. The team needs to answer the question, but can resume the presentation without the judge's approbation. The judges cannot ask questions on subjects that were already covered or that were not presented yet. These questions should be addressed during the period of questions. The last 2 minutes of the presentation are protected and should be used to conclude the presentation. If you do not end your presentation after 24 minutes, it will be stopped to move on to the period of questions. A period of question of a maximum duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind the jury that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. Please note that you cannot reveal the name or city of your university, as you may be disqualified. I would like to ask the public to turn off their cell phone. And I will now invite the judges to introduce themselves.
So hi, I'm Val. I work at Bell as a specialist marketing communications, and I do everything for advertising for business products, so internet, TV, and home phone.
Hi, my name is Ariane, and I'm a operations manager at Bell.
Hi, my name is Nicolas, and I'm Director of Finance in Process and Controls.
Hey, my name is Olivier. I'm country manager for Procter & Gamble Professional.
Yes,
Is everybody on? The same way not all movement is forward, not all expansion yields growth. Until today. We're here to tell you, Bell, how you can continue to expand and grow, all while meeting your objectives moving forward. So good afternoon, or morning rather. My name is John, and I'm accompanied by my teammates Sandrine and Jordan, and combined we are GSJ Consulting. And we are here today specifically to determine how and where to expand Bell's out-of-the service, all while maximizing your AI capabilities within the next 3 years. And in order to do this, we need to look at 3 primary considerations. The first being your internal capabilities and core competencies. What is at Bell's core and root, and where can we take that as we expand? Next, we want to look at the imminent market trends. It's important to know where Bell is today, but it's equally important to know where the market is moving tomorrow, what consumers increasingly want. That way we can tap into that exactly. And finally, we want to look at where your next expansion opportunities lie, looking exactly at those trends. Now, before we do that, it's really important that we take a step back and look at where Bell is today, where you want to be tomorrow. That way we can find the best trajectory to get there. So looking at Bell today, you want to look, you're looking to expand your alt TV services. The core competencies that you have are really a commitment to quality services, leveraging AI and technology as a whole. The barriers that we see in expanding this service are really expansion laws and regulations within certain markets that prohibit the use of AI technology, and your competitors as a whole. We know that Netflix and Amazon are new emerging forces, and it's important that we take them into account. And the opportunities that we see are expansion into India, which we will elaborate on a bit later. We know that may concern you because it is India, it's a new area, but we assure you that we've thought this through and can convince you that it is the best course of action. That said, we're proud to present to you today our solution, Bell India. where we launch AltTV in India via a joint venture with BSNL, which is a top telecommunication organization there. And this is a play on what has made AltTV a success here. It was a precondition to 5 television. We want to apply the same there, but through a joint partnership with BSNL. And we want to do this across 3 phases. In the initial phase, we want to scroll. We want to scroll up and down and see what exactly it is that we need to tap into. In the second phase, we want to then select. Once we've scrolled, we've seen what we like, we can select exactly what it is that we want to do. And finally, we can tap into that and binge and enjoy. And how we intend to evaluate this recommendation as a whole, in the initial phase is by reaching 100 million people across India as a whole. In the second phase is by securing 5 to 10 partners. And finally, in the last phase is by involving AI within your service as a whole and leveraging that technology to better appease your consumers as a whole. Now let's take a step back and look at the analysis that led to this recommendation.
Thank you, John. So let's take a step back and look at Bell and the 2 business segments that were presented us in this case. So first of all, you are the leader in Canada for telecommunications. And you have increased your revenue actually by 2.9% in the past year. The growth in the Canadian market, however, is only projected to rise a meager 1.2%. However, if we look at streaming services, so for example, TV and internet services, we see that your subscribers to internet have increased by 9% in the past year. We also notice that in terms of the global streaming, it is projected to grow at an average rate of 17% worldwide. Now we see this as a huge market that you can tap into. Streaming is the future, and we know it. Now, why have you been so successful? What makes your company great? So, the main services you offer in your TV servicing are news, live sports, and on-demand movies. And we know that this is what your consumers want and love. Now, how have you done this? You have leveraged these through partnerships, partners with sports teams as well. And what you really have focused on is advanced wireless networks. So you are now expanding to 5G, your client satisfaction, which is at the root and the heart of your company. This means we must use your past successes in order to, when we're entering new markets. Great. So let's look at the trends in internet television right now as we stand. So first of all, we see with some of our competitors in Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, YouTube as well actually, there's personalized content and selection. So that means people are able to easily choose and select the content that they want to see. We also know that there is live sports and news, which is a huge growing market that people want to have on demand. And of course, online streaming is huge. And we have demonstrated that before, as I said before, online streaming has increased throughout the entire world, especially in emerging markets. Now, what we also see is that consumers don't love contracts, and they love flat fee rates. Now, the way we plan to exploit this is through using AI technology, which can better which can make you successful using these trends. Now, artificial intelligence will allow you to better your services when expanding globally. So now, let's look at what actually artificial intelligence does for these 4 main trends. So what artificial intelligence really does is it looks at past experiences. It analyzes the past in order to predict the future. Now, this ends up predicting behaviors of the individual and giving them selection criteria for later on when they want to choose something else. Now, when it comes to personalized and content selection, this is extremely important. You can use this to see what the person likes, what they enjoy, what they watch, how often they watch this, and we're able to predict what they would want to watch in the future. Also with live sports news, you can find out what exactly sports they're watching, what kind of news to actually target these individuals. Online streaming, of course, and finally no contracts and flat fees. So when using these algorithms, we can see how much these people are willing to pay for the service and how long they would be willing to stay in the service. Now, we know that you need to employ your artificial technology to expand in competitive markets. Now, let's look at the 5 main markets that we chose to look at. And that was India, China, the US, Brazil, and Europe. Now, the criteria we're basing our expansion opportunities off of, the ease of entry. So how easy is it to get into this market? Are there barriers? Are there regulations? The actual market, how big is it? The growth rate of that market. And finally, the competition. So how hard is it going to be to assure market space in this market? Now, let's look at India, first of all. So the ease of entry. As we see, there are no main barriers into India. Now, when we look at the market, so your TV streaming is based a lot upon the internet access, your internet capabilities in the market and the country. Now, in India, we see that the internet users total 426 million, and this has grown over 30% in the past year. So this means that from last year to this year, the internet users has grown by over 100 million people in India. We also see that as very low penetration. So with a 34% penetration, we see a lot of opportunity in this country. In terms of competition, we know that Netflix and Amazon have just started to move in. Now, what do the consumers in India value? They love foreign shows. They also love watching sports and drama. So we will keep this in consideration when we move forward with implementation. Now, let's look at China. So China is the biggest market in the world. They also have the most internet users of 720 million, a penetration rate of 52, so moderate. However, we see low growth in this country of 2.2% in internet users. Now, the main problem really stems at getting into the country. So right now, the main competitors are Baidu and Tencent. Now, these two providers go hand in hand with the government. So we know that there's a lot of regulation in this country in terms of what you can stream, what you can show exactly, and it all has to be passed and regulated by the government. What they value, local content, drama, and romance. Now, let's look at the United States, our neighbors to the south. So, in terms of entry, there are no main huge barriers to entry. It's not as hard as China. The market, in terms of internet users, 286 million, a very high penetration of 88% in internet users. We also see only a 1.1% growth in those internet users. And one of the main competitors, of course, Netflix. And they have over 75% of the market in the United States. Now, what do the Americans value? They value original content, drama, and comedy. Now, let's look at Brazil. So, in terms of entering the country, entering Brazil, we know that there is taxation on movies and TV shows that aren't local. So we need to make sure that you are streaming both local and foreign videos and TV shows. Now the market. So they do have a very big market of 139 million internet users with a penetration rate of 66% and a growth of 5%. We know that the competition, Amazon and Netflix are the main competition, and they have been established there for about 5 years. What they value is local content and drama. Great, so let's look at Europe. Now, when we look at Europe, there have been new regulations actually installed where 30% of the content has to be local, so developed in the country. We look at the market of Europe, it is obviously a huge market, over 430 million internet users. And we do see, again, only 2% growth rate with high competition, Netflix and Amazon. They have been there for many years. the local content and action venture is what this market likes. Great, I'll pass it off to Sandy, who will talk about the alternatives to our recommendation.
So now that we've established that the future for alt TV is really expansion into new markets, we've outlined the 3 most attractive markets for alt TV moving forward. So the first one is expanding business into the US, secondly, expanding business into India, and lastly, expanding business into Europe. And we evaluated these 3 alternatives based on growth, so how fast is the streaming industry growing within that market? Secondly, the market. So is there a demand for this? Are they really valuing what we can offer? Thirdly, the competition. So is the market, where is the market least saturated? So where would it be easiest to enter and to gain that market share? And lastly, ease of entrance. So are there regulations in place? Is it easy to actually enter into this market and to provide our services to the market? So with this being said, we see that India is the most attractive market for alt TV moving forward. And why is this? If we look at the US, it's an attractive option because it's so close by, but there's a reason we haven't entered it in the past, and this is because the market is so saturated. We know that Hulu and Netflix together have a market share of 88%, and it'd be very hard to tap into this market. And as well, they have a very low growth rate within that market. So with that being said, US is not the most attractive alternative. And then we look at Europe. So Europe, the issue with that is that they have a really low growth rate. As well, there are many regional differences, so really tapping into this market would be very difficult because you'd have to have a tailored approach for each individual country. So with this being said, we see that India is really the most attractive opportunity for alt TV, given the fact that it's growing at such a rapid rate. It has the biggest market out of all 3 for internet users. And with this being said, we see that India is the most attractive alternative. So we established that India is the most attractive alternative, and we are very excited today to bring to you our recommendation, which is Bell India, which looks to launch alt TV in India via a joint venture with BSNL Telecommunications. Excuse me. So BSNL is actually a major service provider within India, and we believe that they will help us gain exposure and really ease our entrance into the market, given the fact that this is what we've done in Canada. We are global market leaders, we're market leaders within Canada because of the fact that we offer telecommunication services, and we believe that BSNL is the way to do that. So our approach is in 3 phases. Scroll from 0 to 4 months, which we're really trying to market to our new market. Secondly, we're trying to establish that partnership with BSNL. And we will measure this based on reaching actually 100 million people within the first year. Secondly, we're looking to select. So when you select your favorite show, this is from 4 to 20 months. And we're looking to securing sponsorship deals. And we're looking into alt TV omnipresence on all devices. And lastly, we're looking into binge, so 20 plus months. This is when we're actually launching our Bell Incubator, which John will expand on. And lastly, create our own content. So I'll leave it off to John for the first phase, what our company will look like tomorrow.
Now, one of the primary concerns that you addressed to us was bringing AI technology to your shareholders, to the C-suite, and convincing them that this was a venue and a channel that you needed to pursue. So how we intended to do that was by telling you exactly what you need to do this time tomorrow, and that is align. So what we want you to do, similar to what Google founders did when they initially IPO'd, is send a memo out to all of the shareholders with Bell, outlining the reasons and the rationale behind venturing into AI technology, which we know is something that is perhaps a bit outside of your realm of expertise at the moment. We want you to align their mission with your own, to establish that what you are doing today is setting Bell together forward for the future. And we think in doing this, it'll reassure your shareholders right now, it'll reassure C-suite that the actions that we have proposed here today are the best for your organization moving forward. What we also want to do is to make sure that this is adopted company-wide. You know, the Bell has a strong culture wherein everyone believes in a common goal and working towards that. And so what we want to do is have a conference call hosted by the C-suite outlining, again, the mission and the purpose behind this venture, answering any questions, reservations that they may have, really making sure their voices are heard in this process, and outline exactly how their roles within the organization will vary now that we are venturing into India as a whole. And in doing this, we think that it'll ensure internal adoption and support as a whole.
So now let's look into the first phase of our implementation, where we're scrolling and selecting our favorite show. So this is from 0 to 4 months. First off, we're looking into sponsoring Sunrisers Hyderabad. We know that India is the Indian market loves cricket, and this is why we'd actually want to sponsor the biggest cricket team within India. Why we're doing this is because in the past, Bell has gained all this market share and has become the leader within Canada based on their sponsorships with a bunch of sports teams. So we know that you're sponsoring the Ottawa Senators as well as the Toronto Raptors, and we believe that we can actually transfer this into India with this sports team. And actually this will really gain exposure. This will really help us gain exposure within the Indian market because there's actually 60,000 seats within this arena alone, as well as the fact that it's actually televised. And secondly, we'd actually like to also offer prizes and contests. The incentive for them to partner with us is based on the fact that we'd be able to offer them lower rates as well as offer them mobile services on top of that. Next, we're looking into digital marketing. So we really want to make sure that we have a cohesive message throughout all of our channels. So we want to be on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. And why is that? Because the Indian market is actually they use their cell phones the most, and we really want to ensure that we are the go-to when they're accessing their phone. So we want to provide them updates, live streams, any access to new contests or updates on their favorite cricket team. And lastly, we're looking into email marketing. So once they've actually subscribed to AllTV, we want to ensure that we're actually getting them onto our platform. So we want to offer new content recommendations and really encourage them to make it onto our platform. And with this being said, our second tactic is looking into the actual interface. So what will it look like on your website in India as well as on the application? So we want to offer a 1-month free trial to really attract them to our to the website because we know that this is what Netflix has done and we know that this is the way to attract new customers. The prices are the same as we are currently offering in Canada, and we also want to partner with our service providers. So we believe that the benefits we're offering the service providers, so BSNL, is that we'd be able to increase their exposure, they'd be actually able to tap into a new market, and with that being said, I'll leave it off to John to go into
Just on the previous slide, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think those prices are competitive in India?
Yes, I believe so. So right now, Netflix is offering a higher price within India, so we really believe that we're going to be able to tap into a new market there.
And when we scroll, it's really important that we select exactly which partners we want to work with, which content we want to display, and how exactly we intend to do that. But what we want to do at the beginning is really establish the partnership with DSNL. We want to do our due diligence. We want to engage into the contractual agreements, establishing exactly what roles and objectives we want to achieve. We want to partner with them because they are the largest service provider across the internet, and similar to the bundle that you have currently in Canada with Bell 5 and AllTV being an extension of that, we want AllTV to be an extension now of their service. So it's a tie-in directly to that, and it's building on the exact model that you use to become a success in Canada.
How many clients does BSNL have in India that we could reach with this partnership?
Hundreds of millions.
Okay.
So they're the largest service provider across India as a whole. Next, what we want to do, as we know, is buy access to these TV rights. As Jordan outlined, what they value a lot in India is access to their sports programs, predominantly cricket. They also value local TV shows and content that is made within India. So these are a couple of the shows that we would like to buy rights to. And the last one is the Indian Cricket League as a whole, so we buy rights to that and be able to show that on the actual streaming service at any time. And finally, the benefits that this yields to not only yourselves, but your partner. For DSNL, this allows them to venture into a streaming service with an established organization in Canada with a proven model. And for you, this allows you to enter into India in a seamless manner with an organization that has a massive reach. What we also want to do, because we know that consumers today are on their cell phones and laptops more than they are watching television, is provide this omnipresence on both the mobile application, or rather both on your mobile and laptop. So we know within India that they're the top mobile users in the world, so we think in doing this, it's a great way to tap into them, to provide the convenience that they yearn essentially. And what they can do is either download the show in advance and then watch that as they're commuting, or use their existing data plan. Moving forward now in the last page, once we have scrolled and selected, now it's really time that we establish how we can use AI technology to your advantage. And that's why we want to create the Bell Incubator. This is an innovation team based in India that will allow you to tap exactly into the Indian market as a whole, all while leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the purpose of this is to track habits, patterns, and make predictive recommendations based on exactly how your consumers are streaming. Are they predominantly on their mobile application? If they are, you can send a push notification outlining that there's new content that has been displayed. This will also allow you to better respond to your Indian consumer needs and gather additional data that you can then use in the future with this incubator to make better solutions that appease your customers. And so the impact is more personalized service, better adoption, and positioning Bell as an AI leader in streaming services. And finally, what we want to do in the distant phase is actually provide your own content. So how we intend to do this is by working not only with big actors within India, but also with directors and producers, because we know those are the names that attract people to watch content. So some of the notable actors that we outline here are Amor Khan and Raj Kapoor. They're top actors in India, and as for the directors and producers, they are as outlined there. What we really want to do with the directors and producers is leverage their network as you continue to make more content, because they can attract some top actors, and we can then use AI to see exactly which themes, which shows, which actors in particular are driving the best results, are buying the most views, and then use that again in the future to make shows that are similar to that. Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I need to go to my boss tomorrow morning to get funding approval.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a budget we can discuss of?
Yeah, so we don't actually have the budget in the presentation, but we allocated $35 million right now. And we expect actually a $41 million revenue within the first year, so we think it's completely feasible. And we've accounted for marketing as well as hiring the producers, hiring the actors, getting those sponsorships. So in total, it's about $35 million.
And why should we not launch on our own or acquire a company there?
So we actually would like to venture into BSNL, because this is what we've done in the past. We've seen past success within Canada, and actually opening our own local network within India, we don't actually have the local knowledge and capabilities to do this, and really I believe that we would gain benefits from this partnership, and we'd offer similar benefits to them. So all in all, we'd actually be able to gain exposure and tap into this new market in a better way.
Are they across India?
Pardon?
Is BA and
Yes,
the-
they're across India, so they're the major.
And you're sure they don't have any of the platform like RTV already, or?
So what we looked into, or rather when we looked into the services that they provided, we saw that they were pretty traditional in the services that they provided as a whole, and we thought they were the perfect joint venture partner to go into, because they're looking to enhance their survey and move into the digital age essentially, and you're looking for a less risky way to enter a market that is essentially untapped and growing.
How's the quality of the network in India?
The quality of the network?
Do you think it would be sufficient to cover the bandwidth we need for LTV?
So we know that they are the main service provider across India. Part of the joint venture and the due diligence we want to do in the beginning is establishing exactly which service and which streaming capabilities and internal processes we can use. So we know that you uphold the highest quality, and we'd like to discuss that with them in the initial phases, so that the quality in this particular service is of the utmost quality and aligns with what Bell is known for.
So you guys want to promote or launch a product as a Bell product. How do you think BSNL would react to the name Bell being out there versus the name BSNL being out there?
We want to launch it as an extension of BSNL.
Okay.
So similar to what we've seen with possibly Rogers, who partnered with other companies to provide a streaming service, or what we've seen with Amazon partnering with other companies as a whole, you're not diluting their brand or hurting your own by associating your suit. It's merely a joint venture where you're providing a service that they can have to appease their consumers, and then on your end to enter a new market.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
job.